In a world full of noise, sometimes the purest sound comes from a place where silence once lived. It all began on a humid evening in Manila, where a boy named Angelo sat by the window of a small one-room house, his fingers tracing the air as if searching for something he could no longer see. Born blind since the age of 4, Angelo had grown up in darkness, but within that darkness, he discovered something extraordinary, the power of sound. He could hear everything, the flutter of birds above, the laughter of children outside, the distant hum of jeepneys on crowded streets. But most of all, he could hear music. His mother, Liza, often said that when Angelo sang, it felt like heaven had opened its doors just to listen. Yet, in a city where survival meant work, not dreams, singing was a luxury. His mother sold flowers by the road, his father had left years ago, and every peso they earned went into keeping a roof above their heads. Still, every night, when the world went quiet, Angelo would sit beside his mother and sing softly. It was his way of painting the world he couldn't see. His voice was gentle but powerful, filled with emotions too deep for a child his age. One night, as he sang to his mother, a man walking past their house stopped. He was a tourist from America, filming the busy Manila streets. He heard Angelo's voice echoing from inside the little home, pure and haunting. He took out his phone and recorded a short clip. Days later, that video appeared online with the caption, "Blind Filipino boy sings like an angel." Within days, it spread across the internet like wildfire. People around the world were moved by the voice of the boy who couldn't see but could make everyone else feel. The video reached millions of views, and eventually, it caught the attention of a talent scout from America's Got Talent 2025. When the invitation came, Angelo's mother couldn't believe it. "America," she whispered, "but we can't even afford bus fare to the airport." Yet fate, as if touched by his voice, stepped in. Donations poured in from strangers online. People who had never met him wanted to see this blind boy from Manila take the biggest stage in the world. Weeks later, Angelo stood backstage at AGT. He was nervous, his hands shaking slightly as he held his white cane. The bright lights, the energy, the noise, all of it surrounded him like a dream he never thought he'd live. His mother held his hand tightly. "Remember, Anik," she whispered, "you don't need eyes to shine. You already do." The channel's signature voiceover faded in softly, setting the tone. "You're watching one of the most emotional performances ever seen on AGT. Stay with us to witness a moment that moved Simon Cowell himself to tears." As the stage crew guided Angelo into position, the crowd went silent. Simon Cowell, sitting at the judge's table, leaned forward, curious. Beside him sat Sofia Vergara, Heidi Klum, and Howie Mandel, all watching as the boy in the simple white shirt stood under the spotlight, a microphone in his hand. Terry Crews, standing backstage, whispered into the mic, "This young boy from the Philippines has traveled thousands of miles for this one moment. He can't see, but when you hear his voice, you'll understand why he's here." The host turned to the stage. "Hello, young man, what's your name?" Angelo smiled, turning slightly toward the sound. "My name is Angelo, sir. I'm from the Philippines." The audience erupted in cheers. Simon leaned forward. "And, Angelo, how old are you?" "I'm 13, sir." Simon nodded. "And you're here to sing for us?" "Yes, sir. I can't see, but I can feel the music." "I hope you can feel it too." The crowd fell silent. The judges looked at each other, already moved by his calm honesty. The track began to play softly. It was "You Raise Me Up" by Josh Groban. The first note left Angelo's lips, and within seconds, the entire theater froze. His voice was pure gold, soft, trembling, and filled with raw emotion. He sang not like a boy performing for fame, but like someone opening his heart to the world. Every word seemed to come from deep within, echoing through the hall. Simon's expression shifted from curiosity to disbelief. He leaned back, his eyes fixed on the stage. When Angelo reached the chorus, the power in his voice grew. The audience gasped, many wiping tears. It wasn't just his tone, it was the sincerity. The kind of emotion you can't fake. Even without sight, he saw something through his voice that the world rarely sees, hope. By the time he reached the final note, the entire theater was on its feet. Sofia Vergara pressed her hands to her heart. Heidi wiped tears from her eyes. And Simon Cowell, known for his tough exterior, stood slowly, clapping with a look of genuine awe. He mouthed the words, "Unbelievable." The crowd's standing ovation lasted nearly a minute. Simon waited for the cheers to fade before speaking. Angelo, he said softly, I have judged talent shows for over 20 years. I have seen many singers, but what you just did, it wasn't just singing. It was soul. You sang from a place most people can't even reach. The audience cheered again. Sophia smiled. You have the voice of an angel. You touched every single person in this room. Heidi nodded. You made me cry, and that doesn't happen often. You are a gift. Then Simon looked at the golden buzzer before him. The crowd began chanting, Golden buzzer. Golden buzzer. Simon looked back at Angelo, who stood humbly, unaware of the golden confetti that could soon change his life. Angelo, Simon said, his voice trembling slightly, you came here from the other side of the world. You told us you can't see. But what I just heard, was the most beautiful vision I've ever experienced. And with that, he slammed his hand down on the golden buzzer. The hall exploded in cheers as golden confetti rained from above. Angelo gasped, his mother rushing on stage, tears streaming down her face. She hugged him tightly as the confetti fell like a shower of dreams. Simon stood up, walked toward the stage, and placed his hand gently on Angelo's shoulder. Your voice will change lives, he said, and I want the world to hear it. Backstage, Terry Crews hugged them both. This is what AGT is all about, he shouted as the crowd roared. Later that night, clips of Angelo's performance began spreading online. Within hours, his name was trending worldwide. People called him, the boy who let the world hear light. News outlets picked up his story, sharing how he grew up singing to comfort his mother after their struggles, how he never gave up despite living in darkness. Days later, the AGT YouTube channel uploaded his audition. Within 24 hours, it hit 20 million views. The comments overflowed with love. I'm crying. What a voice. He's proof that real talent comes from the soul. Simon's reaction says it all. Back in Manila, people gathered around small TVs and phones in crowded streets to watch their local hero. For them, it wasn't just a performance, it was a victory for hope. As AGT weeks went on, Angelo returned to the stage for the semifinals. This time, he sang, Imagine, by John Lennon. The moment his voice began, silence swept the arena again. But this time, it wasn't just about emotion, it was about power. The boy who once sang softly to his mother now sang for millions. During the performance, video clips of his journey played behind him, the streets of Manila, his mother's tearful smile, his white cane tapping the ground as he walked toward the airport. The moment Simon hit the buzzer. When the song ended, the audience erupted once more. Simon, visibly emotional, said, Angelo, you are the reason we do this show. You remind us of what true talent and courage look like. In the finals, Angelo sang his original song, one he wrote for his mother titled, You Are My Eyes. The lyrics told their story, a mother guiding her blind son through the darkness, a son finding light through her love. The melody was soft, heartbreaking, and beautiful. As he sang the last line, You are my eyes, and I am your heart, the camera panned to his mother in the audience, crying uncontrollably. Simon pressed his hand to his face, overcome with emotion. When the song ended, no one moved for a few seconds. Then the arena exploded with applause. Every judge stood, every audience member cheered. It was more than a performance, it was a moment in history. Simon took the mic. Angelo, he said softly, I don't think I've ever said this before, but that was perfection. You've reminded us that music isn't about what you see, it's about what you feel. You are the voice of 2025. That night, Angelo won the hearts of millions. Even though he didn't know the outcome yet, he had already won something greater. He had shown the world that blindness is not a limitation, but a different kind of vision. When the final results came, the crowd held its breath. As Terry Crews opened the envelope, the music swelled. The winner of America's Got Talent 2025 is Angelo from the Philippines. Confetti burst once more. Angelo fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face as his mother ran onto the stage. Simon hugged them both. You deserve this, he whispered. Never stop singing. The moment became one of the most viewed AGT finales in history. News anchors called him, the blind boy who made the world see. Record labels reached out, and yet, Angelo's first words after winning were simple. I just want to thank my mom, because she's the one who showed me what light really means. Months later, back in Manila, Angelo returned home. But life had changed. The once small house now stood surrounded by smiling neighbors, children waving, banners reading, Welcome home, Angelo. Reporters and fans filled the street, but Angelo didn't care about fame. He just wanted to sing again in the place where it all began. That night, he sat by the same window where he used to sing to his mother. This time, though, the whole world was listening. He sang quietly, his voice echoing through the warm Manila night. In an interview later, Simon said, "There are moments in my career I'll never forget, Susan Boyle, Paul Potts, Nightbird, and now Angelo." He reminded us that the human spirit can turn pain into something beautiful. As the channel outro began, the narrator's voice spoke softly over clips of Angelo's journey. Sometimes, the brightest light comes from those who cannot see it. Angelo didn't need eyes to show the world beauty. He just needed his voice. The screen faded to black as Angelo's final song played softly in the background, a lullaby dedicated to his mother. Because sometimes, it's not about what you see, it's about what you feel. And the world felt every note of that boy from Manila who sang with no eyes, but endless vision.